Hey friends, this is Dr. Rakesh from Atlanta, Georgia. Today I'll be talking about anxiety and depression as a part of my medical talk, MedTalk series for everybody. Very important topic, very important disease to understand. And you don't die because of it. It's not a life-threatening condition by itself, but it may lead to suicide or at least suicidal thought if it goes unnoticed or untreated. So very important to know about anxiety and depression. It kind of goes hands in hand. Most people have both together, but you can have just anxiety and just depression. Actually 20-25% of the population suffer from it, and many of them don't know. Even a lot of doctors, they don't know about it themselves. So today I'll be talking what it is, why it happens, and then I'll be mixing a medical and a little bit of metaphysical and spiritual understanding of anxiety in this talk. So first of all, what is anxiety? It's easy if you know, if you have felt it, you know what it is. But you know that when you are excessively worried about the future, that's when you get the symptoms of anxiety, like you're tight, apprehensive, your heart rate goes high, and you're anxious and can't sleep many times and always feeling tight. So those are the anxiety symptoms. That's called anxiety. Depression is basically you're feeling down, blue, and sad, not interested in anything, and don't feel like doing anything. You might be gaining weight or losing weight because you don't feel like eating. It not can't sleep much, or sometimes you can be sleeping too much. So that's depression in nutshell. If you ask me, I'll summarize in just one sentence. What is anxiety? Anxiety is a fear of future, and depression is regret over past. Okay, it's a kind of a mixed medical and metaphysical definition that I come up with. Anxiety is fear of future, and depression is a regret over the past. Now, why it happens? You might go through some medical books and you might figure out, oh well, maybe some genetic component. So now stop blaming your parents for your own anxiety and depression. You may have some bad upbringing in the childhood, and that might be giving you nightmares and things like that. But once you're 18 and up, you can't blame your parents for everything. Okay, so don't look for the genetic cause for it, even though you may find some evidence that well, it might runs in the family. And obviously the upbringing always play a role, and sometimes the educational level plays a role, but there is no specific medical cause for the anxiety or depression as such, except few things I'll talk about. Some chemicals, the hormones that can go up and down in this kind of situation. So there is no specific cause for it. You already know what are the symptoms. Now how do you treat? That is very important. But before we go to the treatment part, you have to understand total 5 different hormones in the 2 different groups. Okay, the one is we call a stress hormone. Okay, it is adrenaline and cortisol. That's a stress hormone, and the name itself says it's a stress hormone. What happens that when you are in a situation of life and death, like if you're going and suddenly tiger or lion come in front of you, what are you going to do? You're going to run. You're going to run for the life, and that is when your body secretes the hormone called stress hormones, which is adrenaline and stress hormone. So that makes you run fast. That gives sugar to the areas like the muscles in the brain where it needs the most. It increases the sugar production, so it increases your heart rate, and you can run fast and you can just go away. So that is called fight and flight reaction. Either you fight back with somebody or you run away. Both this requires a high adrenaline surge. In the short term, it's great because you need it, but in the long term, it's not good because continuously if you are high like this, it can create a lot of medical issues, and obviously the anxiety itself. So that stress hormone level goes high in people who are constantly anxious, and it can lead to a lot of side effects. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about 3 different hormones: dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. That plays a major role in depression. So I'm going to tie these hormones with some spiritual and metaphysical understanding of anxiety and depression. If you go back to my original definition of anxiety, which is fear of future. So why do you get anxiety? Is because most of people don't have a hope for the future. That is the one thing. There's no hope for the future, so they get kind of depressed in a way, but they're anxious about what will happen. Now, it's like a death. We are really not afraid of the death, but the reason we are so anxious about the death is because we don't have any control over it. And second thing, we don't know what happens after we die, and that's why we get anxious. So anything in the life where you don't have any control, or when you don't know what happens, even you may have a control, but you don't know what will happen next, then you become anxious. So if you understand these two things about anxiety, then you will know how to kind of fix it. Like if you remember that anxiety is fear of future and depression is a regret over past. What does that mean? If you live in the present moment, right now, right here, right now, focus on what is happening right now, be aware, then you won't go in the future, you won't go in the past, and that's how you relieve the anxiety. Obviously you can take a lot of medications available in the market that basically it numbs your brain, so it kind of, you becomes like a zombie and you don't feel anything. But that's not the best way to treat long-term anxiety. If you have acute attack of anxiety, yes, medications does play a major role. And for some people, long-term medications are also important. I know, like Xanax and Ativan and things like that. Basically we call it the sedatives and benzodiazepines that call for anxiety, and some of the antidepressant medicine that also works in the anxiety. But the best way to live is to live in the present moment. Why? Because present moment, you know what is happening, so there is no fear of unknown, and you have full control of the present moment, what is happening right now. I'm talking, I'm breathing, I'm looking at you, so I have full control over it. What happens next moment, I don't know. But if I keep going to the next moment, I'll feel an anxiety. So that is the best way to tackle the anxiety, in my opinion, is to live in the present moment. Be aware of what is happening at this minute right now. Okay, and that is how you reduce the stress hormone level. So you reduce the cortisol in your body, and you reduce all the symptoms that goes with the high adrenaline. So you feel relaxed, and obviously meditations and all those things is part of the same thing. You can go to psychotherapist and psychoanalyst and all those therapists. Nothing wrong with that, but in my opinion, it's a constant conflict of interest, because the way the therapist makes money is by helping you cure your disease, and this is my personal opinion. Okay, so it's not in their best interest to get rid of your problem. They will help you temporarily, but ultimately it is you that will help you solve your problem. So that's for anxiety. Now depression, three chemicals you have to remember. One is a dopamine, the other is a serotonin, and third is oxytocin. Now for number 1 and number 3, there are no specific medications, because see, dopamine increases and you feel good about it. These are all three feel good hormones. Okay, if you increase the level of these hormones in your body, you will feel good. So a lot of people do it with the drugs and everything, or the prescribed medications. Okay, either the illegal drugs or the prescribed medications. People try to elevate the serotonin and dopamine level, but I'll show you different way of increasing those levels in your body. Okay, you can always take antidepressant medications. There are so many available in the market. Means you lost the count. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. But this is how you can increase the dopamine level. Now, first is the dopamine. How do you increase the dopamine? When you achieve something that gives you that boost of dopamine. Okay, it may be a small victory, but every victory counts. So get in a habit of winning something. Not, I'm talking about the lottery or the race or anything. For example, if you decide to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you stick to it, and after 10 days you'll feel so good. So you don't have to be a big shot, some celebrity, to increase the dopamine. Your own life, your own understanding will decide what is a victory for you. So those small victory dose every day will basically increase the dopamine level, so you will feel good about it. So you'll come out of the depression. The second thing is serotonin, and most of the depression medications work on this serotonin. Either they increase the serotonin level, or they reduces the reuptake, whereby in essence basically it increases the serotonin level and its effect. Now how do you increase the serotonin level? Very important. When you start contributing to the common good of the society, okay, that is when you increase the serotonin level. That is what I am doing right now, is I'm contributing to the society with whatever I'm gifted with. So whatever your gift is, whether it's a music, singing, dancing, painting, whatever you are gifted, everybody's gifted with something. So find your own gift and start contributing. You don't have to donate $1 million to contribute to the society. Whatever you have, make a difference in the life of somebody, okay, and that will increase the serotonin level. You feel so good, and that will keep you totally happy, okay, all the time. So that increases the serotonin level, is a contribution to the society. The third and very important hormone is oxytocin. The oxytocin is released when a mother gives a birth to a baby, so that should give you some understanding about. And when a baby is breastfeeding mother, that is when the mother's oxytocin level goes up. So mom feels so good when the baby is born and baby is breastfeeding, because that is a maternal love, the feeling, the affection, and the touch and the warmth. Those things increases the oxytocin level. Now, not everybody can become mom, and not everybody can, even they can become mom, they cannot become mom every single day for rest of their life, right? It's just a limited time period that you become mom, if at all you can. Obviously men don't have that luxury. So how do you increase that? And the oxytocin is basically the hormone of the romance. When you kiss your beloved first time, that is where you get the surge of the oxytocin. When you have a physical relationship with somebody, that is when you get the oxytocin. So now, how do you increase those things without sexual encounters, okay, or the mother-child encounter, okay? Just hugging, the touching somebody else, the handshaking. Those, so get in the habit of touching people, not inappropriately, but with a lot of respect for their body. But and people will know it when you touch them in the right way, in the right body parts. They will know, they will feel your love, and you will also feel that love, and that will increase your oxytocin level. So in this modern society, we try to touch everybody virtually, but we have stopped touching people physically. So we should increase that physical touch, the touch with the respect and the love, not with any malintention, not with the sexual intention. Touch with the total love and harmony. So that love, that touch is required to increase the oxytocin level in the body. Now, I've been kind of experimenting myself. This is a virtual touch. I'm talking to you, so indirectly I'm getting that the oxytocin level high in my body, where there is no science behind it, but that is how I feel happy and good when I do these things. Because when people write the comment, when I reply with them, I'm basically indirectly touching their heart, okay, and that is where I get my high on the oxytocin. So remember, stress hormone is adrenaline and cortisol. It increases when you're constantly stressed out or anxious. And to reduce it, you live in the present moment and control the present moment. And for the depression, there are three hormones: dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. You can take the medicine to increase the hormone level, or you can do the things that I just mentioned to you, okay? And obviously, being totally aware in every moment is a key to relieving the anxiety and the sedation, okay, anxiety and depression. And one sentence I read, that God gave me the courage to change the situation or circumstances that I can change, and also the courage to accept the things that I cannot change, and wisdom to know the difference, okay? And actually I have that on wallpaper, as a wallpaper in my house, okay? So with that, that's all about anxiety and depression. I didn't specifically talk about the medication, because you can Google it and you will know that there are a lot of medications available for anxiety and depression. But I'm not big on the medication. I'm big on the healing yourself, not just treating yourself, okay? You heal yourself, and the journey continues, okay? So with that, I'm done. This was Dr. Rakesh Shah from Atlanta, Georgia.